Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. We have an amazing show for everybody today. What do we have, Krystal?
Indeed, we do. We've got David Sirota on. This is actually hilarious, sad, pathetic. I don't know how you want to classify it.
It's an amazing story.
He's got some new data about just how effective the Lincoln Project ads were. And not only, so they were very expensive. Not only did they not persuade voters to vote for Biden, in some cases they actually persuaded voters to vote for Trump. So that was awesome.
Thank you, Lincoln Project.
On that data. We also, this is exciting, we have Andrew Yang on the show to talk about some of the new results in terms of how automation impacted the 2020 vote. Ultimately, you won't be surprised to learn that counties that lost a lot of jobs to automation voted overwhelmingly for Donald Trump. But Saagar, we want to start with some new reporting about what exactly President Trump may be planning.
There we go. From the New York Times, let's throw this up there on the screen. What we have is that Donald Trump is considering, he's told some advisors that if the race is certified for Joe Biden, he will immediately announce a 2024 campaign shortly after. Those sound you hear are the tears of Nikki Haley and a few other 2024 contenders there. It's kind of so
Marco.
Well, but what's also interesting though is you got to dig deeper into there is that there's all these different things, and it seems very clearly the president has been spending a lot of time. This is my friends in the White House press corps tell me in the Oval Office for a long time. Like he's been in there till like 7:30 at night. I think he's clearly kicking around ideas and like musing with whoever happens to come in and out and being like, what do I do? Yeah. Right. And it's like it's a state of uncertainty. It's like obviously he's still out there fighting for the ballots and the lawsuits and all of that. But as we're about to show you, most of those are not working out. The date is ticking closer about when states actually certify their results. I mean, we're getting pretty close there to the deadline for a lot of different states. We are only 1 month away from the Electoral College. I think it's December 14th, whenever they meet there. Of course, Trump has tweeted about state legislatures kind of appointing their own electors. That's all theoretically possible. It would just, it's just outside the realm, I think, of a realistic possibility for that to happen. So,
by the way, important to note, the Pennsylvania Republican legislature has already shut down that idea.
There you go, right? So, and then Michigan, I think is another one. And then even then, I think in terms of the state balance in the House and the Senate's there across, it's probably not going to happen. All right, like it'd be very unlikely. So all that being said, he's beginning to see. He's like, okay, well, what do I do? And what is in his, what does he have available to him? He can run again in 2024. Very possible, right? Mm-hmm. What spurred him to run in 2016? The White House Correspondents' Dinner, getting ridiculed by Obama, getting ridiculed by the elite. And he was like, no, screw you. A more epithet than that. And was like, I can do it and I'm going to win. And he did. He could start Trump TV as a competitor to Fox. That's something that we floated here. He spent yesterday tweeting a lot about Fox. He could just go into retirement. It's very possible. I don't think that's going to happen. I think he'll work until the day he dies. So the real question is that which way does he want to channel everything? I'm not yet sure about the 2024 thing. I think it's certainly within the realm of possibility because he would want to stick it to everybody. But we'll see, right? We're definitely going to see. He hasn't been telegraphing anything that way. Right now, the thing that seems most likely is the Fox thing, just given how angry he is and what he's been publicly putting out there.
He could do both.
Yeah, that's right.
And he could also, this to me is also entirely possible. There's been some reporting about how he wants to continue doing rallies. Like he loves doing these rallies. Mm-hmm. Obviously, people will continue to show up for him. So he could sort of float the 2024 idea without firmly committing to it and make it a dramatic, like, will he or won't he kind of situation.
Which he's the master of.
Which seems very likely the type of thing that he would be super into. And look, the way that campaigns work these days, they're inseparable from a media operation.
Mm-hmm.
Bernie Sanders, after 2016, what did he spend a lot of his time on? He built up his own media operation.
Which was huge.
Anywhere he would go, he'd have cameras there. He kept his following engaged that way. And so what Trump is conceiving in a lot of ways is not all that different from that type of model of I'm going to continue the perpetual campaign. I'm going to have my rallies. I'm going to have my media arm. And we'll play this like will he or won't he game with 2024. The last-ditch effort that you lay out of like, oh, they'll be able to get the different electors or they'll be able to keep the states from certifying the results, that doesn't seem like it's really in the cards or like they've actually executed anything on that plan to get that done. You've had a number of Republicans starting to throw cold water on this idea that he's going to hang on to power. As I said, the Pennsylvania Republican legislature has already said, no, we're not doing that. Like if the results are certified for Joe Biden, we're going with the electors for Joe Biden. So that seems highly unlikely. I mean, in terms of like some grand plot or scheme for Trump to be able to stay in the White House, I think what you're seeing is basically all there is.
Yeah,
right? And this is what we expected. Like, he's going to say a bunch of bullshit. He's going to tweet a bunch of crap, a bunch of conspiracy theories. He's never going to concede.
Ever.
He's never going to admit he lost, which is outrageous and which is really bad for the country. But in terms of some grand nefarious plot, these like lawsuits that are getting tossed out left and right, I think is as big as it gets. Arizona officially called yesterday by NBC and a number of other news outlets. Of course, Fox and AP had called Arizona long before. Now it's really, really, really official. Important note on Arizona. So Wisconsin and Georgia are going to recounts. Georgia, we covered yesterday how they're doing hand recount. Because those results are in the tens of thousands, almost certainly unlikely to change the ultimate victor in either Wisconsin or in Georgia. Arizona is not going to go to a recount. It's not within the margin for an automatic recount, and campaigns cannot request it. So that result is going to stand. And also one of their lawsuits that they were trying to push through in Arizona to question the results basically got tossed out yesterday. So the lawsuit front, not working out for them. Recounts, unlikely to work out for them. They are running very much out of legitimate means to sort of pursue this thing any further.
That's right. And you can begin to see there are some cracks. Now, look, I don't want to, and actually, these senators are in a very tough position, right? Which is, look, at the end of the day, their voters are all with Trump. They are not with them. 56% of Republicans are with Trump. They identify as a Trump person much more than they identify as Republican. He is the beating heart and soul of the Republican Party. So, in general,
of the Republican Party.
Yeah, well, I'd rather have Trump than like Mitt Romney or something.
Like that's. I mean, anyway, go ahead.
But anyway, so look, these senators are in a very tough position, right? Like they can't contradict him or anything. The one thing where they, in particular, are beginning to speak out on, so to speak, is on these intelligence briefings. So you can see the New York Times story. They've been covering this, like looking for who exactly is breaking ranks. Who it is are generally these Republicans in blue or bluer states, or, people who are pundits. Karl Rove is amongst them. Yeah. The one that was most significant, I think, was Mike DeWine, the governor of Ohio, Republican. Ohio, obviously, a state that also went for Trump. It has a deep Trump base, but DeWine is very popular in that state, largely because of how he handled coronavirus. Yep. So he called Joe Biden the president-elect. That was seen as like a big thing, and you also have a few others that are beginning to dissent. But like I said, the main fault line that's emerging is on these intelligence briefings. People are like, look, you can even say, like, we're not going to know who's going to be president, but, like, Joe Biden needs a damn intelligence briefing, just in case. James Lankford, who's on the Intelligence Committee, is one of the people who's talked about that yesterday. Let's take a listen.
During the entire campaign since this past summer, Joe Biden and President Trump, who always receives it, have received intelligence briefings every day. That's once you get past the convention time, both candidates receive that because you don't know who is going to be the president. So that's continued out throughout the campaign. That's now stopped for Joe Biden. I think we should continue that because we still don't know who the president's going to be at this point. And so we should be in the same posture that we were in throughout the whole campaign, with both of them receiving briefings as they're both trying to be able to prepare and then allow the process to be able to go through right now.
So that's a positive step. I mean, I don't have a lot of sympathy for these freaking Republican senators. They should be able to do the right thing and like state what is obvious, which is that Joe Biden is going to be the next president of the United States. So cry me a river. You're in a position of power. You're in a position of leadership. Use it to do something good for the country for once. But, when I think about the Trump 2024 thing, I mean, the part of it, there's a number of aspects of it that to me are going to be not the greatest, one of which is from the Democratic side and on the left is, what have they done to keep everybody in line this whole time? And what has made our politics so incredibly terrible is this, like, we have this unique existential threat in Donald Trump. And so you can't criticize the Democratic Party. You can't go against our talking points. All these like ridiculous conspiracy theories are fueled by it. I mean, that reaction to Donald Trump is a big part of what has made our politics such hell over the past couple of years, and has also helped justify a rightward corporatist shift in the Democratic Party. It's been very effective at essentially crushing dissent. So look, on the left, what did we hear like during the Biden election over and over and over again? Hold your fire. Let him get elected,
right.
And then once he's in there, then the gloves are off. Well, if Donald Trump is still hanging out there as a threat for 2024, forget about it. Like, they're going to...
Yeah, what do you want to do? You're going to help Trump?
They're going to run the exact same playbook. MSNBC, we were sort of here like, what are they going to do in the Biden era? Well, now we know. If he's out there thinking about running in 2024, they're going to continue doing what they've been doing. They're going to endlessly cover Trump every single day, every single segment, because it's a lot more ratings beneficial than whatever Joe Biden is
No
doing.
question in my mind. Yeah, I mean, look, Joe Biden is boring. That's the whole point, right? And then
That
so
is the
Trump
point,
is
yeah.
exciting. I mean, that is what he's all about. And I think that's what it actually does. The really depressing part is it freezes everything in time. Right? Like, and it's just like with Biden, it's like everything is just frozen in 2012 thinking. There's no space for new ideas. And then Trump, I mean, you're basically, our political rhetoric has not evolved from November 4th or whatever he got elected, 2016. It's the same goddamn stuff. Russiagate. And even then, we're talking about working class. We had a whole other election with millions more people, with more data. I mean, we should be moving on and talking about what's going on with there. But nope, the right, it will all be about, whatever this election fraud stuff. That's going to be the narrative going forward, especially with Trump if he's going to run again. And then on the left, it's going to be anti-Trump. And it's just going to be a relitigation of the entire Trump administration. I mean, and again, we have macro political forces changing and all around us. The entire economy is cratering and changing in ways that we will barely understand and see within a year. Nobody wants to talk about that. And I mean, I do, but, and I'm sure, people who watch the show do. But in terms of our macro political conversation, getting frozen in time is just so bad for everybody.
I think that's a really good way of putting it.
Yeah.
It freezes the Republican Party in
Freezes
place.
everything, yes.
As like centric around him and his eccentricities and, especially the current Donald Trump, which really doesn't have much ideologically, which has reverted to this more sort of like true conservative, Reagan era type economic policies. It's just the like cult of personality. That kind of remains frozen in place. And then the Democratic Party as the anti-Trump party and not really standing for anything other than being anti-Trump also gets frozen into place. I think that if he does, and I think it's highly likely that he at least floats the idea of 2024 and leaves it out there as like, maybe I will, maybe I won't.
We'll see what happens.
Or even said, well, we'll see what happens.
See what
exactly. Or even, is more clear and more affirmative and like, I plan to run in 2024. Then you're going to have, even as we have this election, to totally change the political dynamics, you're going to be stuck in the same political dynamics that we've basically lived through over the past couple of years.
That is very likely.
All right, next up, friend of the show and editor-at-large of Jacobin Magazine, David Stewart is going to discuss the utter and complete abject failure of the Lincoln Project. That is coming up.